If you have the slides pulled up, what's the deal? Staying powered in the field. My name is Cavron, November 7, Foxtrot Lima, November. This training is all about how to keep your radios powered when the grid is down. We'll look at the basics of battery backup and how to do some easy math to estimate runtime. Next slide, please. Why batteries matter. In a world without power, batteries are the power. Radios don't care how good your signal is if they're dead. Let's learn how to stay on the air with smart battery planning. Next slide, please. Know your gear. These are some typical radios we use, handhelds, mobiles, HF, with some typical current draws. For example, a handheld, we'll get to the examples later. So we'll just move on to the next slide. The magic formula, amp hours equals amps times hours, or hours equals battery amp hours divided by amps for the load. Many batteries are rated in amp hours. Keep in mind some AGM and lead acid batteries should only be drained to 50%, having their effective amp hour rating. Next slide, please. Here's a handheld radio example. We calculate the average current draw based on how often it gives us a realistic runtime. For example, if a handheld draws 2 amps on transmit and we transmit 20% of the time, receive 80% of the time, we can do some math to calculate the amps we'll be using. So 0.5 amps times 0.8, which is the percent of receive time, would equal 0.4 amps. Transmitting 2 amps 20% of the time, or times 0.2, also equals 0.4 amps. So the total average draw is 0.8 amps. If you have a 7.2 amp hour battery, the runtime would be approximately 9 hours. Next slide, please. Here we have an example of mobile radio. With mobile radios, the numbers get a little bit bigger. If we try to transmit less, 10% of the time versus receive 90% of the time. If we have an average draw of 10 amps, 1% of the time, plus 1 amp 90% of the time, that'll equal 1.9 amps. If we connect that to a 35 amp hour AGM, the runtime is approximately 18 hours. Next slide, please. HF radios are power hungry. Always plan for heavy draw if you're using one of these in the field. Brings some serious battery capacity. If we have a 100 watt HF rig that draws 25 amps on transmit and 1 amp on receive, we transmit 10% of the time. The average draw will then be 3.4 amps. If we have a 100 amp hour LiFePO4 battery or lithium, the runtime would be approximately 29 hours. Next slide, please. Battery math can lie. Things like cold, aging batteries, fast transmit rates, drain power faster than you expect. Build in a buffer. Generally, you can use lithium batteries in sub-freezing temperatures, but you shouldn't charge them in sub-freezing. Next slide, please. Redundancy is your friend. If you're deploying, bring more than one power source, solar, spare batteries, vehicle power, layer them. 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3, you're golden. Next slide, please. Commercial options. There are many battery backup solutions available on the market today with a plethora of plugs, DC and AC outputs, USB, cell phone chargers, solar inputs. There's a lot of options out there. Next slide, please. Some real-world pro tips. Label everything, standardize your connectors, monitor your voltage, and know your own gear's behavior. Next slide, please. Final thoughts. When the grid is down, you are the comms. Battery planning equals mission success. Practice calculating your own runtimes this week. Next slide, please. That comes to the end of my training. This is N7FLN. Happy to take any questions.
Kilo Mike 4 Quebec Alpha Alpha, a comment?
Go ahead, Alpha Alpha.
Yes, thanks for the training, and I think one of the big things is to have multiple batteries and some way to charge them up. I will mention to people that advertised power outputs for solar panels are not necessarily what you will get, and I suggest looking for a YouTube video or an article where somebody with electronic instruments has actually measured the unit, hopefully comparing it with other units, so that you can see what you might realistically get. I just bought a 20-watt rated unit that actually puts out 14 watts, but 14 is enough for me. Back to control.
Thank you for that comment. This is N7FLN. Any other additional questions?
N7MSB.
MSB, go ahead.
I learned the hard way not to depend on my car battery with the the engine turned off because the radio drains the battery down to the point that the radio can no longer operate. And so, and you don't know that until you try to, until you stop transmitting, or you try to start your car later.
A great comment. You definitely don't want to have additional disasters on top of one already. Any additional questions or comments? All right, hearing none, this is N7FLN. I'll turn it back over to Nicole, KC7ISP.
Thank you, Cavron. That's really good training. I think a lot of people, we kind of get our stash of batteries and then we kind of forget about everything. And keeping them charged up and knowing what they're going to be capable of doing and how to get them charged when things go bad, or let's say gray skies rather than blue. Anyway, appreciate your training this evening.